Council for Nuclear Research, but has since moved on to studying particle physics. And even though they invented the internet in 1989, they are most famous for their 666 logo, a video of a woman being ritually sacrificed on CERN grounds at the altar of Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction, and for potentially destroying the universe. Multiple lawsuits have been filed to stop CERN's particle collider, in fear that it could destroy the Earth, which revealed to the public that CERN is a sovereign entity outside the jurisdiction of the courts, so they can do whatever they want. What is it that they're doing? It has to do with high-velocity counter-rotational spin, which was first documented in Nazi Germany's most secret program, Die Glocke, the bell. According to surviving documents, the bell was somehow affecting time and space. The most distinctive aspect of the bell was high-velocity counter-rotational spin, also known as torsion physics. Many are concerned that CERN is attempting to open a portal into another dimension that will allow demonic entities to enter ours. This was blatantly portrayed 6 years ago in a pagan ritual to celebrate the opening of the Gotthard Tunnel, just east of CERN. The dimension they would be attempting to open is already somewhat accessible.
CERN, C-E-R-N, the European Organization for Nuclear Research in Geneva, started a project to accelerate charged particles. 10 days later, photographer Christophe Suarez posted a series of photographs of the skies above CERN. Those jaw-dropping photos showed the formation of strange clouds and were proof that the biggest experiment in the world is about to tear a portal into another universe open. Up until now, we've only seen such incidents in the movies. But now, after witnessing it in reality, people are not only concerned, but scared if the scientists have actually found a way to open a portal to another world. The European Organization for Nuclear Research, known by its French acronym CERN, is something that you'll hear about when there's some news about a newly discovered subatomic particle. It is the world's largest particle physics lab, and it has the biggest accelerator in the world, the LHC, or the Large Hadron Collider. The credit for being the biggest goes to its circular tunnel of nearly 17 miles, or 27 kilometers in circumference. The LHC, like all physics experiments, tries to test theoretical predictions and find whether they're flawed. It enables atoms to be smashed together with even greater power at nearly the speed of light, allowing it to recreate conditions comparable to those experienced during the universe's beginning. In 2012, a watershed moment for the LHC was the discovery of the Higgs boson, also known as the God particle. Now that they've identified the Higgs boson, scientists at the LHC have set their eyes on an even more elusive target. All around us is dark matter and dark energy. It's the invisible stuff that binds the galaxy together and makes up more than 95% of the universe. Astrophysicist Zhen Liu at the University of Minnesota told the Daily Galaxy in an email that the Higgs boson, a critical component of the Standard Model, could play the role of the portal between the luminous world and the dark world. Even better, we would be able to directly make dark world particles and identify them using our great control of Higgs boson production at the Large Hadron Collider or in future colliders as well. Recently, a group of scientists announced that they believe they can explain dark matter using a particle that, according to them, can travel to the fifth dimension. According to the latest research, 5D equations have been created that indicate the ramifications of an extra dimension in our universe and reality as we know it. The researchers looked at fermion masses, which they believe can be transferred into the fifth dimension via portals, resulting in dark matter relics and the fermionic dark matter in the fifth novel dimension. Assuming the dark matter is composed of fundamental fermions, which live in the extra dimension, Leo also exclaimed, "I cannot imagine how breathtaking the world would be when we master and control luminous matter and dark matter." The LHC was shut down in December 2018 to allow for upgrade work to take place. The Large Hadron Collider was stopped for 2 years in order to make major improvements to the system. After the improvements, the Large Hadron Collider reopened in April this year, and it's ramping up for a third run to study new worlds of physics. And wild rumors began to circulate that CERN was opening a portal to hell in quest of the God particle. Remember the incident of 2016? Those photographs revealed an unusual cloud formation and electrical activity above the CERN facility. The strange clouds sparked a media frenzy regarding portals in the sky, which could suggest parallel universes and extra dimensions. What we previously saw could turn into a storm now that the CERN is even more powerful than before, unleashing high-energy, strange matter that is extremely unstable and causing a catastrophic vacuum decay that would cause time and space itself to collapse. Hawking warned that this could happen at any time, and we wouldn't see it coming.
Based on recent measurements made at CERN laboratory in Switzerland, it seems there is perfect symmetry between the two, which they say implies that our universe should not exist. What? Okay, here to talk about this perhaps disconcerting discovery is CBS News science and futurist contributor and theoretical physicist Michio Kaku. All right, Professor Kaku, so can you explain, first of all, what antimatter is and how is it different from the matter that we interact with every day?
Antimatter is the mirror image of ordinary matter. It's extremely rare. If I had some in my hand, it looked like ordinary matter, has the same chemical properties, except if I touch it, it would explode and destroy all of New York City, parts of Connecticut and New Jersey.
This was science fiction a year ago, that you could do what we've just done. For us, antimatter is this sort of evil twin of matter.
The world's biggest physics project, CERN in Switzerland, announcing mind-boggling discoveries, and the latest discovery, like parallel universes and new subatomic particles, sounds like it should be in science fiction. They say they've captured antimatter and stored it in a magnetized cylinder.
We just had collisions at an unprecedented energy, 13.6 tera electron volt, and this opens a new era of exploration at CERN, a new chapter. Run 3 of the Large Hadron Collider will give us collisions at higher energy than before, and also an amount of data equivalent to the total amount of data recorded in the previous 2 runs. And this, of course, will increase our opportunities for discovery or for understanding.
So first things first, this ceremony was put on in Switzerland for the opening of the tunnel. World leaders from all over Europe, mostly leaders from Germany, France, and Italy were invited, which makes sense being as that's who this tunnel would affect most, but it also seemed to spook a lot of people, and I can kinda understand why once it gets going. After this, another card is rolled in with what people refer to as demonic creatures, and then with them is a goat man, who typically represents Satan in ancient scribbles. This man gets on a stage and sings in gibberish, and he even speaks in gibberish. It's kind of like he's calling for Satan, and Satan does respond. Everyone around him starts celebrating, possibly celebrating the arrival of Satan? There are a few who speculate that the red lights in here are supposed to represent a blood sacrifice, but that's not really clear to me, at least until they take the severed head of a woman and lift it above the dancers. The silk that falls from her head seems to represent that she was decapitated, as though it's blood. Everyone's gone outside, and we start off again with a large group of construction workers walking in a daze, as though again they're being controlled by the music. Honestly, it's part 2 that gets really weird. Instead of opening a tunnel, they seem to open up a portal, and they perform this ritualistic dance in order to open it up. One thing a few people noted was as the tunnel opened up, the workers started removing their clothes, which could symbolize a corruption of their minds. Like right and wrong doesn't exist the more they open this portal, which does seem to happen. As the tunnel opens, eventually people dress similarly to how they did when they were in the hellish realm from part 1. After this is where things get really interesting. It looks like some sort of voluntary human sacrifice happens. These 3 men climb up into the tunnel and hang themselves until they're dead. And then there's this animation on the screen of the 3 workers being hurled down the tunnel as these giant demonic hands grab at them. It's at this point that the 3 men who sacrifice themselves turn into 3 spirits and float above the scene with an all-seeing eye, and a group of followers underneath who grab their long horns and start playing. And right after this, Satan returns. And at this point, it kind of makes sense why the first half of this performance was inside. It could have been a metaphor for Satan leaving his world and entering ours. And right after Satan comes, you have these demonic creatures again, and those 3 men who turned into 3 ghosts now seem to have reincarnated into 3 scarabs. Maybe they were all never the same thing, but the number 3 shows up a lot. Now we have a woman singing for Satan, and his new followers are bringing upside down trees as offerings again. What seems to be Satan's bride enters the stage with a pregnant belly and another young goat-headed man, and this kind of becomes a mess of chaotic representation of a modern world. They even put political heads in suits and walk them down the aisle that Satan was on.
Est-ce qu'il y a mon quoi?